Today, and well, we want to talk about a very crucial subject now, the issue of local government autonomy, and that is a crucial subject that we'll be talking about, especially with the back and forth, Supreme Court, President, Senate, and all of that.
One thing about it is about the development of the grassroots. If local government autonomy is not about the development of the grassroots, then it has nothing to do with more development that we should have in our country, Nigeria. So with this financial autonomy that has been granted to the local government, we hope to see more development. And we have a guest in our that will be joining us on this particular matter.
Indeed.
Quite interesting that people should know their leaders at the grassroots. To be able to ask some basic questions, give them the basic amenities, and things will definitely get better. We will not be going disturbing the federal level that this is what we need. Go back to the people at the grassroots, get to know them. Don't be surprised that there are some people who don't even know the chairman of the local government.
I even like that line that you just dropped, because not only will it put our leaders on their toes now, or should it put them on their toes and make them more forthcoming, it will also give us more responsibility as the people, to know who they are, to follow them up, and ensure more accountability at the grassroots. Let's build up on this point, or this issue of, enhancing local government autonomy in Nigeria. Let's supply some more background just before our guest comes up. The call for local government autonomy has been gaining momentum, with numerous stakeholders recognizing the potential benefits of decentralizing power to the grassroots level. And some experts say that by granting autonomy and empowering local councils, it's building a foundation for sustainable growth, community-driven development, as well as a prosperous future for all Nigerians. According to the executive chairman of the Nigerian Capital Development Fund, Hareta Oralusi, with this decision by the Supreme Court, local councils can now tap into initiatives targeting key sectors such as renewable energy, technology, agriculture, and affordable housing. This collaboration will also ensure that local councils not only receive financial backing, but also benefit from global expertise in impact investing, sustainability, and community. So all these and more are what we will be talking about. We have with us in the studio an investment manager, Deji Olatubosun. We thank you very much for coming on the program. Right. So, talking about this, issue of local government autonomy. So the Apex Court has given a crucial judgment. It's been said to be a landmark one at that. The government at the federal level has also spoken about its desire. After all, it was even the federal government that went to court, dragging all the governors of the states of the federation. What are your thoughts at where we are now and what you want to see moving further?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay, let me start with this. To realize the full potential and the best that local government across the federation embody, financial autonomy for the LGs is an important recipe for such outcome. Because with financial autonomy, that is when you begin to see the leadership at the local government level taking ownership of their futures and for their people, and that is when you begin to see them strive very hard to secure strategic partnership that are very important for strategic and developmental initiatives. And also, let me use this opportunity to applaud the presidency, who exercise political courage, fortitude, and wisdom to secure autonomy, financial autonomy for the local government within the ambit of the law. And also my respect for the judiciary for standing for that stood up to our best when some state actors responsibly stress-tested the legality of some state government overbearing on local government finances. And that brings me down to your question specifically. Local government financial autonomy is an important recipe, like I mentioned earlier, and a catalyst. It is when it happens than all other forces that matters, that can bring about development, we start to evolve. Right. And what are those things? One, we all know that infrastructure development is key, even at local government level, and capacity building for artisans. But local government need strategic partnership. So now local government can only be attractive to strategic partners when there is financial autonomy, because that is when their balance sheet becomes attractive. That is when you begin to see partners coming on board, and then the leadership at local government level, or we have the initiatives to be talking about, for instance, affordable housing, such as the housing scheme, such as council housing we see in UK. That is when the local government and the players in the private sector that are developmental oriented, we begin to talk about, okay, can we build local arena? Imagine a local arena and the commercial activities within the local environment that will be tied into it. And it is also a pool, and it also attracts a pool of local talent, whereby if they could be nurtured, is a platform, and if they could be nurtured on that basis, they will be able to access the global sport market, and they're preparing them for such.
Will strategic partnership, like you mentioned earlier, bring development to the people at the grassroots?
Yes.
How do you mean?
Okay, thank you. Like I mentioned earlier, financial autonomy for local government is a catalyst. It lets other initiatives to start to evolve and makes the balance sheet attractive. And what are the important elements that drives development, even at the grassroots level? Infrastructures, roads, clinics, sport arena that was mentioned, capacity building, housing. Now, in the area of infrastructure, not all of these projects could single-handedly be embarked upon by local government, even by local government. They need development partners. So in that case, the local government becomes attractive for development partners, provided there is financial autonomy, because meaning that there is no more another type of government who is messing up the balance sheet. The cash flow becomes much more attractive. So, and on that case, so meaning that there could be a partner to do SYZ project like arena, building of affordable housing scheme, and then also capacity building, and then again bringing power, electricity, to the remote communities within the local government. And sometimes also strategic partnership in the area of transportation and infrastructure. So, and then another element of, recipe for development at the grassroots level is capacity building, which we all know, especially for artisans. So, with local government financial autonomy, that is when you begin to see strategic partnership that local government will be able to strike to have a world-class vocational centers, and then bringing institutions who have such capacity to train the artisans with respect to the global best practices within, or that has to do with artisans trade. And on that basis, it is when they can access the international market.
With all this partnership, do you also put in cognizance the cost effectiveness of this? How will this bring more dividends of democracy that will save the local governments from going into into debts?
Into debt. Okay. That is where our expertise lies, because we know how to structure such kind of a thing. We are not new to it. PPP arrangement, public-private partnership, in such a way that it will not lead to bankruptcy as long as it is well managed by the stakeholders involved.
So that's on the one hand. Yes. Okay, you will come back to that point, or perhaps let me just allow you finish that point before we come to another concern. You were about buttressing your point on investment bankers, such as you are one of them, and how partnership with investment bankers as yourself, targeted at investment, public-private partnerships. How this will enhance governance at the local level. Right. Yes. So you can carry on with the point.
So in the area of capacity building, when we bring a kind of world-class institutions that have such kind of capacity and to inculcate it in artisans with respect to global best practices, that is when they can have access. That is when it is much more easier to push their products or services to the international market. And what happened? They earn more. There is prosperity at the grassroots level. And that is what we mean by inclusive growth. That sub-economy, for it to thrive, local government is an important recipe for all other forces to emerge and support local government so that we can have all inclusive economic growth and lower poverty incidence.
How will this kind of partnership also ensure that monies appropriated for are judiciously spent? Because you are here now reeling out so many deliverables that one can achieve from this financial autonomy for local government, but where are we? Are we even anywhere close? You're just speaking about arenas, you're speaking about hospitals, empowerment for artisans. We are seeing a semblance of that anyway, but for what obtains abroad, how we can get a semblance, something close to that in Nigeria. But then, most importantly, who is even there to monitor how these funds will be spent now that they have control over them, over these funds? So how then do we ensure monitoring and accountability?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. There are important, there are institutions who are supposed to monitor and track the activities of the local government. And EFCC and ICPC have legal oversight regarding that. So, and then one thing is this: as this financial autonomy is being implemented and evolved, you begin to see the talented member of the society begin to show interest to contest for leadership at local government level, because they know that, okay, there is a financial autonomy now, then they know the kind of initiatives that they can carry out to make sure that there is development at the grassroots level. But still, EFCC and ICPC must stand up to their responsibility, constitutional responsibility, to make sure that local governments are accountable in terms of in terms of how they spend the public fund.
Indeed. So that's what
that was why I was saying something about the debt, so that they will not run into such acts. But when you look at the development they were talking about, we have some in place already in Lagos.
Yes.
When you talk to some of these chairmen, they tell you that, whoa, we are practicing autonomy here in Lagos. But what's your advice as an investment banker or manager to these people to be able to key into some of this initiative that you've mentioned?
Okay.
I'm talking about quick wins that they can quickly key into. Okay.
In the area of capacity development as well is a quick win, and then affordable housing scheme as well is a quick win, because these are the initiatives that could be delivered within 18 months with private sector capacity. And then capacity building, we have relationship with London School of Social Enterprise and Sustainable economics. And then, so that entity has the capacity to make sure that the artisans have the best, have exposure to the best practices. And then we also use that entity to train entrepreneurs. So, and then we have so many artisans that that are within the purview of the local government leadership. So I know they must have profiled some of them. So these are the quick wins for them. So, and then also in the area of renewable energy, it's also a quick win for them. There are large number of remote communities that are not connected to the national grid. So we know how to structure like things that ordinarily is not viable. We know how to structure it in such a way that remote communities, be able to have access.
And how can the people also take ownership of this project? You've spoken about the EFCC, the ICPCs of the country, but then for the people to also run with this, because as we were discussing before you came up, of course, government should be on its toes now. Government should, do more for the people. But then the people themselves, don't you think there's also a need for, the people to also be alive to their responsibilities to check government? How can, people come in?
There are non-state actors. We have state actors, such as EFCC and ICPC, who have a role to play in this, and we also have non-state actors, like significant influencers on social medias, who can begin to nudge people about the importance of making the leadership at local government level to be more accountable, because it works very well. And also, this is how it will also evolve. As that one is going on, there will be competition among local government. It will start to evolve. And if you see a performance of a local government somewhere, you already have an expectation. The local government leader somewhere, or leadership, has already set a bar. And if your local government, the leadership as your local government is not meeting up at that bar, then you begin to see that people begin to be more agitated. So it will definitely is an evolution.
Okay.
It will take place.
Is the organization also keeping tabs with some of these chairmen to sensitize them about things that they can do to better their council?
Yes, we have personal relationship with some of them. So we are already...
I'm not talking about Lagos alone.
Yes, across the federation. So we are already taking initiatives in terms of by partnering with us, in terms of the developmental initiatives that could be delivered to their people at local government level. So we are already taking the initiatives.
And this engagement between your association, your organization, and the local governments started before the Supreme Court landmark judgment. So in terms of comparison now, before and now, how would you describe the level of feedback that you are getting from these governments, these entities?
Some pre to the judgment, there was hesitancy because there was no really incentives for local government due to the overbearing from another from the state governors. Okay. So, but now they are showing more interest in terms of the discussion that we are already having with them. So, because that opens up possibility for them. Even their balance sheet also open up possibility for them when there is no third party abusing the cash flow or the finances of the local government. So it's an incentives. That local government financial autonomy is an incentives.
Right, but okay, so Emmanuel asked earlier on, because I recall that we were made to understand that there had been financial autonomy in Lagos even before the Attorney General of the Federation went to court. But from what you're saying, are you confirming that that was the case, or are you saying that was not the case before the judgment?
You see, the Supreme Court verdict cemented it, and that gives investors like us or financiers like us more confidence. Unlike when it is being said, we like things to be institutionalized. So that...
Are you talking about implementation?
Yes, because when you institutionalize, based on Supreme Court verdict, which reference will be made to, it gives we investors confidence that truly these people now have autonomy, not just from verbal expression.
Okay, and are you also confirming again that, are you seeing a level of implementation already, following the judgment? Are you seeing that? Because we are looking at you as an insider now. After all, you've spoken with some people. We want to believe that you have even sealed some form of, agreement, or so to speak, going forward, that there should be like a level of understanding, going forward, what you will be doing for this local government. But are you seeing a level of implementation already? Because that is the concern now. The courts have spoken. What next? That's what people are waiting to see. So what are you seeing? Survey? What's your survey indeed?
Okay. For now, based on the engagement we have already had with some local government leadership, they are showing more willingness now to begin to take those initiatives. But in terms of implementation, we are not there yet. Because in terms of time frame, so there's a time frame for it. So it will just, so there are quick wins, and those quick wins are as well. It takes months. So, and then, MOU will soon be signed, which definitely TVC will surely be aware of them.
I think it's a fine place to leave it. But one key thing here is that the people, aside from all the fine projects put in place, what Nigerians or people at the grassroots want is development. Let them have good roads, good water. Let's have those basic amenities for them. And I hope your organization will keep tab with all these council chairmen to ensure that all these things, or what they have promised, come to fulfillment.
Would you like to share, the fruits that you are seeing? Which specific local governments, would you like to share that?
Okay, not for now, because
still in the works.
Exactly, so, I mean, the discussion is still ongoing. Okay. So not once we sign the MOU,
everything
then we'll make it public.
All right, but it's good to see, individuals as yourself, other than government, speaking about the gains to be achieved from this enhanced financial autonomy from the Supreme Court's judgment. We thank you very much, Deji Olatubosun, for your contributions.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.